think he played only a week ago, but played Protoss. As we mentioned, if you're referring to when did Oliveira retire, Oliveira, he retired a couple of days ago. I want to say it's been 5 days or so since the announcements, but yeah, Oliveira, he did retire not too long ago, unfortunately. But here we go, we're getting into our fresh best of 5, the grand finals, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Reclamation, we have our red duo. We have the double Protoss duo, as again, our French Terran here, he has cast aside, you know, the facade that was the Terran. He's embraced the Protoss. It is Clem and Trigger. Clem. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Protoss and Terran duo. We have MaxPax and Spirit. Here we go. We are going to be settling in. And so far, both game 1 and game 2 against uThermal and Goblin, Spirit, he was just a bank. He was just a bank for MaxPax. He was just feeding him all the resources he needed to. In game 1, if you remember, MaxPax, he went massive Blink Stalker. I think it was on like 6 to 8 gateways. Game 2, of course, was fed all the resources for Mass Sky Toss, for Mass Carrier. We'll see if we can get there this time. Now, I'm sure Trigger and Clem were watching. I'm sure they were watching. I'm sure they were paying attention. And I'm curious to see what their response is going to be, what their answer is going to be. As MaxPax, he goes for a very greedy build, a gate into Nexus, a very greedy build here by MaxPax. Meanwhile, we have a 2-gate opener out of Clem and a 2-gate opener out of Trigger. Can these two great Protoss minds come up with an answer to the problem that is MaxPax and Spirit? As Spirit, he also goes for a Rax into CC, so economic openers all around. MaxPax, he did cut extra corners for a greedier build. Outside of that, nothing really to take note of. And we'll see if either Clem and Trigger invest into tech before expanding. We shall see. So now our players are building up. And for now, it is just going to be a double Adept opener out of Trigger, double Stalker out of Clem, and both players are expanding. Okay, so both players are expanding. There's no early attack. There's no major early aggression outside of the initial units of choice. And MaxPax, he has his tech of choice. It's going to be a Stargate. Oh, we know where this goes. It's going to be a Stargate opener out of MaxPax. Now, I am making the assumption that this is going to be Mass Phoenix. That is my assumption here, but we'll see if that's what he embraces. This could just be like an Oracle opener into Blink Stalkers, for example. We'll see. As here comes Team Red. The red team are coming in. Bunker is done, shield battery as well, just in time. Very well timed here for Spirit and MaxPax. Let up say to get behind the army. They at least try to. But nice moves here by MaxPax. He does fully wall off. He walls up, he walls off. Marines have a massive Adepts that trapped, and with that, the Adepts are going to be shut down. Trigger losing one, and losing the other as well. Ooh, the other does shade away, thankfully. At the same time, Clem poking in, trying to punish the economy here of MaxPax. It is an Oracle opener out of MaxPax, by the way. Oracle into Void Ray. No Phoenixes. Which means we could see MaxPax tech and pivot away into Blink instead. Trigger and Clem, they do push in. They do shut down the initial tank. Nice pickup. Tank does go down. And both Trigger and Clem, they're embracing Blink. And again, if there was a Phoenix opener here, they would just be overwhelmed by the Mass Blink Stalker. So again, I do think this is very much so intentional by Trigger and Clem. This is also why Clem is not playing Terran, so both of them can be much more assertive, much more aggressive early on with these Blink Stalkers. Ooh, as the Void Ray does punish. Getting another Stalker as well. MaxPax just chasing the red team down. We'll see what they can do with Blink and how committed they become. How many gateways get thrown down if they go for a 2-base all-in, is what I'm getting at. Stasis goes off, catching out the Stalkers. Nice setup here by MaxPax. Meanwhile, Spirit rallying across the map as well. Building up his bio tank. Stiff is on the way. Spirit moving in. Does catch out a Stalker. Goes down. Meanwhile, blue team not quite committing. A little bit of a more tentative move out. They pull away. They back off, and now we can embrace the mid game. Whew, okay, we can calm things down. I was curious about the extra gateways. There we go. We have 2 more gates on the way for Clem, 2 more gates on the way for Trigger as well. 4-gate blink. 4-gate blink for both players. No expansions yet. Oh, as I say that though, okay, 3rd base only for Clem, and Trigger expands as well. So they are both expanding. They're being active, that is true, but I believe there's no War Prism. Yeah, there's no Robo. There's no Robo for either player, so there's no War Prism. There's no reinforcements. What you see is what you get. They're only applying pressure and expanding back at home. Oh, ooh, as Clem does take a stasis to the face. Stasis pops off. Oh, hello, Psychons. Hello. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Bienvenidos. As Clem is getting called out, he has to blink the hell out of here. Up! Ooh, does blink away. Bleeds out a Stalker. At the same time, we have Trigger diving right into the main. Bold move. Does go for the dive. Catching out a tank. The repairs are not enough. And he recalls the hell out of here. We'll bleed out 1 Stalker, but just the 1. For a tank, well worth it. Is worth it for Trigger. MaxPax trying to chase down Clem. Gets 1 Stalker. Bit of an awkward engage here in the center. MaxPax pulling away. Oh. Going for the Void Ray. Void Ray is picked up. Spirit securing himself back at home, going for a 3rd TC. And we are taking up into splash damage. We have the Bay on the way for Trigger. I would imagine for Colossus or Disruptors. Could be either or. MaxPax keeping up with those Wing Stalkers. Punishing Trigger. Getting into charge, getting into his own Robo. Dark Shrine is on the way for MaxPax. And he thrives with the DTs. They are coming. Likewise on the way for Clem as well. They are keeping up. Trigger getting a 4th. Base on the way. We have the answer here. It is going to be Colossus first for Trigger, not Disruptor. Spirit and MaxPax to do breakouts. They force back the Stalkers just so Spirit can expand. Both now on 3 bases. MaxPax getting a 4th. But no committed move outs. Meanwhile, Clem also getting into his own splash damage. The Bay is on the way. Part of me would have liked to have seen both players tech in different directions. Maybe one player one player Colossus, the other player Storm, for example. But for the most part, it looks like both Trigger and Clem, they're kind of building up towards the same army compositions. Building up. Raise them into the main. A couple of cells are going to be dropped off. Ooh, the Prism goes down. At the same time, the armies, they try to push in, but the tanks, they hold the line. So the blue team defends, and likewise protects the main as well. So nice defense here by MaxPax and Spirit. They shut down the aggression. Colossus count building up for a Trigger. Getting up to a 2nd Colossus. Yo, Shadow Strike for Clem. Let's go. Going for a blink of the DTs. Disruptor's now in the mix. And again, we're able to get into a longer game state here between our teams. We are settling in. I do favor the red team when it comes to their tech. I mean, they already have their splash damage, they have their Colossus, they can get behind the cliff face and just wreak havoc. The Gas Geyser is targeted. Clem coming into support. As we have forced a recall. Spirit threatening a drop. Likewise, War Prism into the main base. DTs, they get in. And probes are going down. Going for a massive warp in as well. And MaxPax, he forces the armies back home. Just getting breathing room. Does take down the cannon. MaxPax, he moves out through the center. Spirit alongside him. They've gained map control. But they're going to be pushing into disruptors. First never goes up. Oh! Ooh, friendly Trigger. Trigger, he kills Clem Zealots. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, I know it's not your army, but Pappy, come on. Oh, no. I can hear them yelling at each other via comms already. I can... As EMP does connect. Clem's like, mate, whose side are you on? What's going on, Pappy? As Spirit takes down the Northern Expansion, at the same time we do see a Trigger across the map. They are pushing in. Ooh, sniping the Disruptor. Disruptor goes down, Zelsa busts into the bases. I love that Trigger and Clem refuse to play Skytoss. Skytoss, I think, is less viable in this kind of game state. At least on the side of MaxPax, I should emphasize. I mean, again, I'm pretty sure that's why Trigger and Clem are playing double Protoss. As MaxPax is pushing through the center, Spirit as well. The tank line is brutal. Up! Never goes up. Decent connection. But the last Trigger and Clem, they're being overwhelmed. They're just being forced further back. Bases are falling. And we have some reinforcements trickling in. They're getting on top of the tanks. And it looks like they might just barely hold on. Here comes Rumba here, the flank from the right-hand side. And they are holding. Nice control here by MaxPax. He pulls away. Saves the Colossus. And it is enough. Spirit, he sims on in. Takes down the Colossus one after the other. GG gets called. And MaxPax and Spirits, they will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. GG, well played. Again, a more economic start from our blue team. Did almost forget which color they were. More economic start by the blue team. Very nice harassment across the map as well, which led into the eventual move out. Massive EMPs, tank positioning as well, and unfortunately, both Trigger and Clem had a very hard time engaging with the army and also working together as well. We saw a bit of friendly fire, but overall, very well done here from Spirit and MaxPax. And I'm curious if Clem and Trigger will commit to pure Protoss. We mentioned before that, if you remember, they switched to pure Protoss after they had fallen to the Mass Phoenix style of Status and Big Gabe. And again, this does kind of deter and does kind of deter the Stargate opener out of MaxPax, which is also why we didn't see a Stargate here. We'll see if that trend continues, as Game 2 is going to be on Undercurrent. Okay. Here we go. Once again, one of the newer maps in the map pool. Of the newer maps. And we are going to be mixing it up here. Okay, you have my attention. In the top right-hand corner, we have the red team, and we have one of our players off racing. Kappa. It is going to be the Protoss and Trigger, and this time, not the Protoss, but the Terran in Clem. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the opposing duo, the Terran and the Protoss. It is Spirit and MaxPax. Now, I do think that something like a Stargate opener is going to be a little more possible here for MaxPax. I'm curious if Trigger goes for a Stargate as well. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on our players here. And again, I mean, after losing game 1, we do see that Clem and Trigger, they are mixing it up and switching their races. Part of me, though, I don't know. Part of me is feeling that, are we switching too soon? Have we given up on the double Protoss too soon? We'll see. As we're going to be loading into a much larger map. Much larger map. We have a pocket expansion, of course. We're sharing the main. We are also sharing the natural as well. I'm curious what the plan is going to be. As again, we are allowing the players to switch their races mid-series. They are allowed to. See Clem taking the faster gases here, as Trigger did get the gas for him. Do love to see it. The teamwork. Let's go. As MaxPax once again going for a gate into Nexus, a more greedy economic opener here out of MaxPax. But again, do we open Stargate? That's what I want to know. There was a Stargate opener in the previous game out of MaxPax, true, but it was just Oracle into Void Ray into Ground Toss, of course. There we go, CC on the high ground, Spirit playing it safe. Oh wait, well, my apologies. Also, do you hear like that growling? What's yeah, it's... I don't think we've... There it is. I don't think we've had that in a ladder map before. I don't recall like casting like a game and having like these jungle noises in the background. Let's go. Oh, you can hear like the Leviathan. Okay. I mean, it's becoming a little bit excessive. We're getting a lot of animal noises, but it's fine. It's specifically in this area here. And it's not here. Interesting. It's on the blue side. Oh, they're animals. As we have Spirit going for a later expansion. It's like I'm getting like Jurassic Park like ambience vibes. Like, what's happening? Is there any tournament which doesn't allow race switching mid-series? I believe some tournaments do force you to pick a race and to stick with the race. I think some of the SE Boy events were like that, where they didn't allow race switching. I think an example of that is WTL, for example. Like WTL, because the races have to be picked ahead of time, you can't like switch. You can't like switch it up. And I want to say some WCS tournaments back in the day were like that as well, if I recall correctly. Oh. What is it with the blue side of the map? Just the non-stop growling. God damn. And once again, Mass Phoenix. It is going to be Mass Phoenix here out of MaxPax. As we mentioned, this is more viable against a Terran and Protoss duo than a double Protoss duo instead. So this is why we didn't see this in game 1, but we're seeing this here in game number 2. So Spirit, his goal here, as you can see, he is not skipping macro cycles. I mean, kind of he is, but he is spending his money. Spirit, he's not making anything because he's giving all of his resources to MaxPax to allow for Mass Phoenix. And I'm curious to see if Clem and Trigger have an answer for this, because I'm sure they know what's coming their way. Like, they watched the previous series, the semifinals. They know that MaxPax and Spirit have done this before, and the potential that this has as well. As we see Blink on the way for Trigger. Meanwhile, Clem building up. Phoenixes, they do head in between the bases. They go for the Cyclone. Boys are being pulled to repair, and they will save it. Cyclone is saved. Phoenixes, they force back. Rotate between the bases. Catching out a probe. That's crazy. I was just thinking Jurassic Park. Yeah, like that's what that's what it sounds like. Like you can hear it here as well. It's like this specific location. Like that's why here and up here as well. It's nice, but I would appreciate if the frequency was a little bit lower, because it's just non-stop. It's like, make these dinosaurs. They're getting rowdy. As Phoenixes, they do get eyes on the gold, unable to deny it, and so far I should say that these Phoenixes, they have not really gotten much value. They've not gotten much damage. So far, Clem and Trigger, they're keeping up. They're keeping up with the Phoenixes. So far, so good. Trigger going for the dive. Last MaxPax committing here to the run by. Getting to the mineral lines. Probes are going down. Oh, Jesus. As he goes by the natural into the third base, into the pocket base. Forced to recall. And ooh, one Phoenix. One Phoenix goes down. So far, 2 Phoenix kills for 20. Jesus. Trigger bleeding out 20 workers. Oh, my God. Leave Trigger alone. As they'll take a massive blow to his economy. MaxPax committing, going to the fleet beacon into into Phoenix range, alongside +1. And here comes the move out. They've had enough defending. Trigger and Clem, they send everything across the map. And remember, there's actually not much at home to defend. There's 3 tanks. MaxPax has to turn back around. They're vulnerable. Tanks going to be going down one after the other. MaxPax out of position. And they're going for the all-in. And again, Mass Phoenix on its own. It's not going to be good enough. He needs a tank support. Alas, there are no more tanks. And Clem and Trigger, it looks like they will break through at least the natural. Phoenixes are trying to hold on. But again, I appreciate the killer instinct here for Trigger and Clem. If they had stayed back at home, they would be outscaled, 100%. So they had to attack here and now. Factory goes down, they get another tank. Phoenixes are doing what they can, but there's plenty of anti-air. The Marines, they Stalkers, they work together. GG gets called. And Clem and Trigger, they tie up the series. Spirit, he's still in there. He's... There we go. GG gets called, and we have a back and forth. Let's go. GG. I do apologize. I did forget to set up the in-game overlay, the in-game score. We're tied up 1-1. GG, well played. I do wish that we got to spend more time on the dinosaur map though, but it's fine. It's fine. As we do have a series. We have a back and forth. We're getting into game 3. Game 3 is going to be on Rohana. Okay, have we seen this map yet? I don't think we have. We have not. Okay, this map has been vetoed more often than not, but we get to experience it here in the best of 5. Let's go. And this time there we go. We'll fix up the in-game scores. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Rohana, we have the duo themselves with a little bit of momentum on their side. We have the French Terran, we have the Canadian Protoss, we have Trigger and Clem. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the other Terran and Protoss duo. We have Spirit and MaxPax. Again, they did attempt that more risky style of going Mass Phoenix and Spirit just feeding everything to MaxPax. As we saw when it came to defense though, MaxPax was out of position, he was out on the map, the tanks were exposed, and without that tank support, Mass Phoenix cannot take a fight against that ground-based army. But now there's a reason why this map has been vetoed every single best of 3. It's been vetoed every single time. The reason for this, we don't share the main bases. It's a bit of a rarer sight, but so far in most of these maps, we share the main so we can defend together, we can fight together. Alas, that is not the case here. We are spread out. The natural is shared, at least. The natural, you know, we can share it here on the low ground. Meanwhile, the third base is also very exposed, very isolated third bases. Likewise, there's a path directly through the center as well. So a much more exposed map overall, much more vulnerable map. We'll see how our players do adjust. And the rush distance by ground seems to be a lot shorter as well, a lot more direct, just going right through the center, just a direct line across the map. So I would imagine that something like a Stargate opener into Mass Phoenix won't be too viable here, as you would be vulnerable to those committed pushes, similar to what we just saw. At any moment, if Clem and Trigger decide to just send it across the map, then MaxPax and Spirit will have a much harder time defending. So we should be seeing a different style, a different build. For now, double gas, enjoy a faster factory. Meanwhile, we have our natural bases on the way from Clem and Trigger. So much more economic from our blue team. Oh, I say blue team. Guys. We no longer have the team color unison here. So the NA team, what do we of Clem and Trigger. As Spirit and MaxPax are setting up back at home. We'll be expanding. At least MaxPax is. And we have the tech of choice from Trigger. It's going to be a Twilight Council. Gonna be that initial Twilight Council opener. But the difficult thing that's going to be about defending these bases as a Spirit, he expands here out in the open. Okay. Interesting. This shows that, man, MaxPax, he's pulling the shots. He's calling the shots, I should say. MaxPax, he is free to establish himself here on these 3 bases. He has this very comfortable 3-way setup. Spirit is the one that's looking a little bit more awkward with his exposed base, with exposed expansion. But okay. At least MaxPax is comfortable. That's what it's all about. MaxPax is the carry. He's the AD carry and Spirit is the support. I see. As likewise, we have our tech of choice, once again, Blink. So Blink from both players. As we mentioned, it does feel like on this map specifically, something like mass Stargate play is less viable. Just because you are so much more vulnerable to a ground attack. We have the Gateway Explosion, 5-gate setup here, 6 gates even. And I thought so. Spirit, once again, he's not making anything from the factory. He's not making anything from the racks either. Spirit, he is feeding all of his resources to MaxPax, and he's going into Masswing Stalker. If you recall, we did see this actually previously when Spirit and MaxPax played against Hero Marine. Sorry, not Hero Marine. When they played against uThermal and Goblin. There was that build where I believe MaxPax went up to 8 gates real quick into Masswing Stalker. Speaking of, MaxPax setting up a proxy across the map on 6 gateways and a Dark Shrine as well. Meanwhile, Clem is building up his bio tank, building up his Marines, getting into eventually his bio upgrades. MaxPax poking in, diving on the Cyclone. Cyclone goes down. Uh-oh. Cyclone does fall, and Clem, he's been quite greedy here. He doesn't really have much of an army. Okay, Marines, they do respond. They at least try to. These are vanilla Marines, bear that in mind. As MaxPax, he's looking to overwhelm. Going for the bunker. The bunker is going to be targeted. Bunker does fall, repairs not in time. And again, this area, this entry point into the natural is just so exposed. It's so wide open. There's no high ground, there's no ramp. The defender's advantage is far weaker here on Rohana. As MaxPax is forced back. Reinforcements on the way. Coming in from behind. Attempting to flank the army, but Trigger, he holds. Trigger, he holds on. Spirit, he is making some tanks back at home. Let's go. Still mainly just feeding his opponent, or feeding his teammate, I should say. As MaxPax is up to 7 gateways. And just pure Stalker. But he's pushing into Immortals. He gets one. One Immortal goes down. The other Immortal as well, just keeping the Immortal count low. Oh, but that was not a free trade. MaxPax, he bleeds out a lot of Stalkers in the process. And MaxPax's army, it's all about just massing up and overwhelming. He's barely not. He's having a hard time getting that momentum. Clem going for a double drop across the map. Stim is going to finish up this time. MaxPax, meanwhile, he does come across the main army. Come across the Immortal. Has to respect it, has to back up. Double drop into the natural. Do we have a recall? Not quite. There it is. There's a recall back home. MaxPax bleeding out Stalkers, leaving some units behind. And MaxPax is being torn apart. And again, typically, the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to be for MaxPax. Ooh, takes down a full medevac. But again, this style, when you feed a player, it's so heavily reliant on momentum. So heavily reliant. DTs, they slip into the bases. Okay, let's go. DTs and all the mineral lines. They're still wreaking havoc. They're causing chaos. They're forcing Clem and Trigger back home. As still that DT at the natural. Oof. Getting another SCV. And this is giving MaxPax and Spirit some breathing room. Now Spirit, he is finally investing into his own army. He's stopping. He has stopped feeding. Getting to Stim, combat shields, his own tanks. building up his own force. As the initial plan to overwhelm did fail. Ooh. A bit of miscontrol there by MaxPax. Bleeding out some stalkers. Dropping to the main. Once again, keeping MaxPax busy. Nice snipe. Catching out the Archon. Archon goes down, and Trigger is pushing right through the left-hand side. MaxPax not quite in position. And the Nexus is going to go down. MaxPax otherwise preoccupied. The base falls. I mean, MaxPax doesn't really have much of a main army anymore. And Trigger and Clem, they're just snowballing out of control at this point. Just pulling Spirit and MaxPax apart. Clem has a massive army. For now, just going for drop play. He is spotted. Spirit, he's playing from behind because he was feeding his opponents, his teammates so much. It means that his own upgrades, his own tech is late. Spirit needs more time to recover. And here come Clem and Trigger. Let's go. Looks like they're fixated on MaxPax. A little bit indecisive. Where are we going? Pushing right down mid instead. And again, this is the big feature, the big exposed section here of Rohana. You can just ignore the bases and go straight for the natural instead. As nice force fields. They do slow down the push, but the tank is going to fall. And Clem, he stims in. He stims and he wins. There's nothing left to defend. There's no tanks in position. The tanks were over at the third base location instead. Spirit, he was spread out. There is a drop across the map. Spirit, he's getting some damage done. But GG gets called. MaxPax, he gets broken. Spirit as well. And Clem and Trigger, they take a lead in the series. GG. GG, well played. Again, this feeding style that MaxPax and Spirit have been trying to rely upon, clearly Trigger and Clem, they are a lot more comfortable against it. To punish it, to shut it down time and time and time again. Clearly, it feels like we need a different approach. Feels like we need a very different approach here. And we're going to be experiencing a map for the first time tonight. Up next, we're going to be loading into Yellow Jacket. I have no idea what this map looks like. I have no idea. Let's go. One of the newer maps in the 2v2 map pool. Don't forget to stretch. Oh, is this the map where there are goal bases? Let's find out. Let us find out. Oh, as spawning in the top right hand corner of Yellow Jackets, we have our Terran and Protoss duo leading the series 2-1, one game away from becoming this month's 2v2 uThermal Circuit January champions. That's a bit of a mouthful. It is Trigger and Clem. This map is quite large, actually. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the blue team. Oh, we have red team and blue team. We have the blue team. We have MaxPax and Spirit. Let's go. Here we go. As we are going to be settling in and calming things down. Oh, there's the Yellow Jacket. Let's go. We have the bees. Or the wasps. It's all good. As we are initially going to be moving out. This format could have been so good if they would have cared and modeled it and balanced it for 2v2 or 3v3. I don't know if there's necessarily consensus that the game mode is unbalanced if you allow feeding. I think that is the opinion that people don't enjoy seeing that, but I don't know if that is necessarily unbalanced. I mean, we've seen both Clem and Trigger shutting it down multiple times already in this series. So the idea that it is like an unbeatable strategy clearly is not true. But if you're of the opinion that it isn't as fun to watch, like entertainment-wise, I think I would agree with that. I think I do prefer if that weren't necessarily a part of this. Regardless, what I will say is that these games and this series and the tournament so far has been quite enjoyable. Like, even with some of those games where you would have a player feeding another, that isn't necessarily, yeah, I wouldn't say that it's taken away from the enjoyment of the event. From my understanding, I believe uThermal, he is thinking about maybe adding a mod to adjust things coming into the next monthly, but I don't think anything's set in stone yet. But I believe he is thinking about it for sure, to see if it does benefit or not the event itself. As we are loading in. Now, what I will say here about Yellow Jackets, it is a much larger map in the map pool, so going into Mass Phoenix, I think, is a lot more viable here. If you recall, the reason why I wasn't really looking forward to a Phoenix style on the previous map on Rohana is because how small the map is and how short the rush distance is by ground, so I don't think it's really viable to go Mass Phoenix. Here on Yellow Jacket, based on what we're seeing, at least currently, based on the more defendable base layout here with the ramps, with the choke point, likewise with the shared main base as well, with the shared natural, there are a lot more defensive features, longer rush distance by ground as well. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but okay, it's going to be Oracle. It's going to be Oracle, not Phoenix. Meanwhile, we do have our Twilight Council blink-based opener here from Trigger, and hopefully we can enjoy a longer back and forth game. But Yellow Jackets, are they wasps or are they bees? I'm not entirely certain. Can you just look it up? Hold on. Yeah, they're wasps. Yeah, thought so. I appreciate the theme though. Very yellow and black. Very thematic. Referring to the map. As the Oracle does get across the map, going for the stasis. Oh! Catching out a probe. As the Oracle is going to be zoned away. Cornered here. In between the bases. So far, good defense here by Clem and Trigger. Adept into natural, Reaper into the main. Getting full scouts, but should be cleaned up without getting too much damage done. As we are gearing up towards the mid-game. Once again, blink play from both sides. Once again, bio tank from both sides as well. But this time, of course, Spirit he's no longer feeding. As we did mention, the games where Spirit has attempted to feed MaxPax have not gone well so far. Not in this series, not in this matchup, not against Clem and Trigger. As Clem and Trigger, they've done an amazing job so far at punishing whenever that happens, at recognizing the vulnerabilities of MaxPax and Spirit, and abusing that. So instead, we have a bit of a more standard setup here. Extra gateways finishing up. MaxPax is being active. No longer purple. He's teal. And there's something about the lighting on this map. There's like a very strong light on the left-hand side, so it's making the contrast like pop out that much more. As we do have Ozio going to be pushing out. Again, MaxPax just applying some pressure. The stasis does pop off. Ooh, double the stasis even. Trigger, he gets called out, but there isn't quite enough here for MaxPax to push in as the tank is in position, and this base should be held. Trigger and Clem, they should be able to hold on. MaxPax forced back. Behind this, we have Spirit investing into further production, getting into stim, into more bio, tank production as well, getting his own third base up and running. We are building up. Yo, Dark Shrine on the way. Let's go. Getting into DTs. Oh, not again. Trigger. That's the third stasis he's taken to the face. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. Stasis pops off, and this time Trigger, he's going to be punished for it. Tank goes down. Spirit and MaxPax are setting up to collapse on the army. Yeah, Clem, he has to commit. He has to try to save these stalkers, and he will. Forces back Team Blue. Blue team is forced back. Catching out some stalkers. Missed movement here from MaxPax. And Trigger gets saved. Trigger, he is saved. As both armies are building up. Getting their 4th bases up and running. At least 4th base for Trigger. Pushing up into these tanks, not going to be easy though. As the blue team, they have the high ground. They have the stronger defensive setup with tanks, sensor tower, bunker as well. Even some Sim City, some depots. Oh, but Clem shoots first. Okay, nice scan. Does catch a tank. Very nicely done. Does opposition Spirit. At the same time, DTs are waddling in. You do get a couple of SCVs, a couple of Marines as well. Another scan is required. Ooh, Cyclone falls. MaxPax just being as annoying as possible. Just crashing across the map. Likewise, Clem, he does get within range of the gas geyser. Getting a couple of SCVs. Oh. My army stimming in, catching at the Immortal. And nice done here by Spirit. The Immortal goes down the tank as well. The red team have to get the hell out of here. Have to pull back. Still very tense between the two players. Meanwhile, MaxPax warping into the main. As Else and DTs, they do get into the main base. Clem otherwise distracted. SCVs are going down. Likewise, Trigger trying to race back home as well. Is getting out of hand. As that is going to be 15 dead SCVs. Clem having a hard time. Meanwhile, here comes Spirit. Does move out. Upgrades are even. 1-1 on both sides. But Trigger and Clem, they're not quite in position. Blue team pushing into the base. There's a tank behind this. But the tank goes down. With these reinforcements, we can hold on though. Barely not. Not enough fire, not enough Marines. Zella Warping does come in. Trying to force some friendly fire. And it looks like they barely cannot hold this one tank doing so much of the back line. Massive shots going off. Clem's army melts. GG gets called. They get broken at the same time. Drop into the main base, catching reinforcements as well. And Spirit and MaxPax, they tied the series. We are going to the ace match. Whew. GG. Again, there was a massive warp in, still catching reinforcements in the main. Just pulling Clem apart. And with that, we're going to game 5. We're going all the way. We're going the distance here. Game 5 is going to be on Crimson Research Lab. Let's go. And again, I appreciate that that in this series we saw the attempted kind of feeding style or feeding strategy attempted and failed, and we see that Spirit and MaxPax, they don't have to just play that style here to win games, to take series, and to force an ace match. So we have more of a back and forth, and regardless of how this goes, this is the final game of the series. It all ends here. All ends on Crimson. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Crimson Research Lab, we have our initial duo. We have the Canadian Protoss, the French Terran. We have Trigger and Clem. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have their opponents. We have the European duo. We have the Danish Protoss. We have the Polish Terran. It is Spirit and MaxPax. Let's go. Let us go. As welcome to, I would say, I think the largest map in the 2v2 map pool. It's a very large map. It takes a long time to get across the map as well. Long rush distance by ground. Likewise, a lot of space in between the bases. I would not be opposed to Stargate play here, to be honest, but we'll see. We'll see how players will approach this. It's very wide open in the center of the map as well. So a lot of potentials for surround to catch out an army. Very difficult to kite back and use terrain to take better engagements. As a Terran, for example. So we'll see how our players do approach this. Important to note as well that Clem, he has switched back to Terran for most of this series. He started with Protoss, did fumble with Protoss and has fallen back on his Terran instead. Let's go. Didn't switch back. As our naturals are being taken. Likewise, MaxPax going for his own gate expand. I believe Trigger did the same. Yep, we have the mirrored build so far between the Protoss players. Likewise, we have Clem going for a more economic start, going for a Rax expand. Meanwhile, we have Spirits going double gas. Double gas opener out of Spirits going for a faster factory. This can lead into early Reaper Hellion aggression. It can lead into early Cyclone, early Banshee, early Tank. Even an early Mine Drop. We'll see what Spirit commits into. I think recently it's just been Reaper Hellion, just for harassment and for scouting. As it was the earlier scouts. Meanwhile, Stargate opener here from MaxPax. And does he revert back to Mass Stargate, Mass Phoenix? Again, I can see it working a little bit better on this map just because of how large it is. At the same time, there are a lot of entry points into the natural here. There are two points of entry, likewise very wide areas as well. That might be enough of a deterrent. We'll see. So we have the initial double Reaper dipping in. Zone back. So far, Trigger and Clem, they're keeping up. They are able to keep up. Spirit, he does slip in towards the mineral line. But Trigger, he shades. Oh, the Reapers, they get into the main, though. But Hellions towards the natural. Hellion goes down. Adepts towards the natural base. Reapers, they catch a couple of probes. They get one, they get two. Two probes go down, getting up, getting a third probe. 3 probe kills, and we have the answer. MaxPax, he's going for the second Stargate. He's going into Mass Phoenix. Now, again, what really hurt MaxPax and Spirit previously when going for this and when they were shut down was how short the rush distance was by ground. If you remember, both Clem and Trigger, they got up to 2.5 base saturation. They built up a death bull of a bio army, and when they moved out, MaxPax was out of position. They were able to take down Spirit's tanks and then snowball from there. They were able to punish the lack of defenses back at home and the fact that MaxPax was out on the map. Here, though, the map is larger. And we'll see if MaxPax can respond to the aggression this time. Zero goes in. Trigger, he doesn't get the full scout. He does see 2 Phoenixes. That is a tell. And you should also see the fact that the factory is not making anything. So no production here from the factory, no production from the racks. Once again, Spirit, he is feeding MaxPax, giving him everything he has. And we need to see a more aggressive response from our opposing team. Oh, but it was a Stargate opener. That's unfortunate. So because of the Stargate opener here, Trigger, he has to go into his own Phoenixes, into delayed blink or delayed charge. The problem here, though, is that he will be behind in the Phoenix count. He's going to be down in Phoenixes, so he has to fight with ground support. And MaxPax, he has potential. Catch out the first Phoenix. Brutal loss. 1 Phoenix goes down. Oh no. He gets a Phoenix. Takes out the Cyclone as well. Getting another Phoenix. Came with the production. And Trigger and Clem, they're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble here. As Marines, they respond. For now, they're holding onto the main. But MaxPax, he has a lot of momentum. He has a lot of momentum already. Just maintaining that air control. Taking down 2 Phoenixes, catching a couple of SCVs. You can see now Trigger going into Blink, but Blink is far later than it otherwise should have been because of the Stargate. So just a really unfortunate start here for Trigger. Very unfortunate. Back at home, Spirit, he's squeezing out a couple of tanks here and there for that defense, in case there is an all-in. Max actually does get into the mineral line, wreaking havoc. Workers are going down. Clem trying to keep up. He has no stim. These pieces have been quite successful, getting even more SCVs. Clem just caught out of position. Yo, we got the turret. Turret's in the middle line. It helps. It takes down one Phoenix. But that was still, what, half a mineral line falling. Oof. That was, what, 7 SCVs or 7 probes. Catching out the drop. Clem bleeding out some supply here. Taking out 2 Metamax. Ay, ay, ay. And here comes the move out. Unfortunately, though, this is going to hit a lot weaker. Or there's going to be that much less to work with than before. Gets 2 Phoenixes. Back at home, what's the setup looking like here? You see Spirit trying to get in position. Trigger and Clem, they pull away. This makes sense. They've kind of missed their timing. They've missed their window. They pull back home. They get their third bases up and running. When it comes to saturation, I mean, the worker counts are comparable, but Trigger, he's still behind. He lost a lot of probes. Trying to keep up. MaxPax, he isn't done. And he's already working towards carriers. Making 4 carriers at a time. And that is the win condition for MaxPax. It's going to be mass carrier. Can he get there? I think he can. I mean, looking at Clem here, he's waiting for his upgrades. 1-1, combat shields. Armory is on the way for 2-2. This tells us that these 2 players are most likely aren't going to move out anytime soon. They're stuck at home. And MaxPax with the 1v2. Now again, Spirit, he is building up that tank count. Again, it's so important here that he does have these tanks to defend. As we've seen already in this series, the Phoenixes on their own have a very hard time defending against a committed 2-base push. Or these double army move outs, I should say. Defending against 2 players, what I'm getting at. So far, the tank count is getting higher. The carrier army is building up. Spirit, he has his own army. Oof, stasis goes off, saving the Phoenixes. MaxPax is all over this. And here we go. They're coming together as one. Clem likewise running into tanks. Oh my god. The tank volleys are brutal. Likewise, MaxPax trying to pick up some stray units. He is punished. A couple of Phoenixes go down. But the carriers have arrived, and there is no answer. There's no setup. Unlike previously, there's no Tempest, there's no Archons. Just purely Marine Stalker. The carriers are not on their own, they have that tank support. Trigger, he dives in, does focus down 2 of those tanks, gets 1 of the carriers, he gets 1, he gets 2. 2 carriers go down. But the others survive. MaxPax, he stands his ground. Mothership has made it. And those are some decent pickups here from Clem and Trigger. But Trigger still falling behind, still stuck with purely Blink Stalker. That's another stasis. Oh god, the stasis traps, they just keep going. That one Oracle from the start of the game, still alive. So they do harass to catch out a couple of SCVs. Vikings as well. Key pickups. Going for the mineral line. Likewise, Clem, he attempted a Doom drop. Spirit was ready. Spirit, he was prepared. And MaxPax, what's terrifying is that he's about to max out. He's about to max out, almost had 200 supply. MaxPax gets supply blocked. But we've already seen, what was it, 22 carriers? Sorry, I think it was 17. 17 carriers just A moving across the map. Like, that's we've seen that before, and we could see that again. Oh boy, as we're getting up to 14 carriers. Spirit dropping across the map. Ooh, shutting down the 4th base of Trigger. And again, Trigger is the odd one out. Both Spirit and MaxPax are about to max. Trigger, he's still at half their supply. Clem is max, but Trigger, he needs support. There's a cloak. It's going to be a 1v2. Clem, he's on his own. He's on his own against 2 armies. 2 maxed out armies. And Trigger, Clem, he cannot keep up. Trigger across the map instead, going for a counterattack. But MaxPax and Spirit, they're snowballing out of control. They are pushing in. And again, the reason why Trigger was slowed down so much this game was because of all the harass. It was Trigger whose bases were falling, or whose workers were falling as well, to the Phoenix harassment, to the drop play of Spirit as well. And Trigger, he wasn't quite able to recover. Oh god, that's the carriers, they're here. Just came with the production, shutting down the bio. There's the cloak. One mothership goes down, and he gets 1 carrier. He gets 2. 2 carriers fall. Almost a 3rd, but GG gets called as MaxPax snowballs out of control. And MaxPax and Spirits, they will take the series 3-2, becoming our very first uThermal 2v2 circuit champion for the month of January. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to MaxPax and Spirit as they do claim the series. But shout out to Clem and Trigger because they made a series out of it. Went all the way to the ace match. I also appreciate that twice in this series we did see that feeding style fail, and it even forced Spirit and MaxPax to play in a different fashion and have success with it. You know, have success with that instead. So bear that in mind, is that we did have some proper mid-game, some proper or more standard kind of like bio-tank and stalker gateway compositions that both MaxPax and Spirit did excel with and did overwhelm with. They actually won 2 games with that. It was just the final game that they were able to win with that mass Sky Tilt, of course, with all the carriers. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Spirit and MaxPax, and Clem and Trigger, they do tap out. Ooh. And again, do hope to see these players once again next month. For those that are curious, this is a new circuit that uThermal has begun. He is going to be hosting this on a monthly basis, and as I mentioned, uThermal, he is thinking about potentially changing some of the rule sets for the month of February. Again, just making sure, even if it's not necessarily balance focused, more entertainment focused as well. Also, shout out to uThermal because I believe he reached peak viewership when hosting this event, and likewise for the next month we are also slotted to be running the event as well. For those that are curious, myself and Kuro, the Ducklings, we were adminning and running the event. We were not able to cast it live because we were working behind the scenes, so unfortunately we weren't able to cast it live ourselves, but that's why we have gained access to the replays, and we can do a replay cast later on instead. As we will be there adminning and making sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. Shout out to Carolyn as well, as the 3 of us, we were all working together. It was a lot of fun. For those that are curious, we do admin events from time to time as well, so we at least have experience there. And uThermal, he was more than willing to, you know, work with us and to allow us to help out. So shout out to uThermal, shout out to uThermal, much love to Mark. And with that, GG, well played. After a successful first event and so many signups and so many teams, I look forward to how the second event turns out. More importantly, because we actually have a more consistent team game event, not just this, but also the Wardy events as well. I'm excited to see how the meta shifts over time. I mentioned this before, but again, there really hasn't been a serious events or serious consistent events for team games in a very, very long time. So I'm pretty sure, I would imagine that the meta of 2v2 has been quite stagnant, but now there's a little bit more attention on it, it can grow, it can foster, and it can change over time. And especially if we see something like a change to remove the ability to share resources, then it will force players to take a different approach here, to take a different approach entirely. We'll see. But again, as we saw, it's not like Spirit and MaxPax had to rely on that style throughout the series. They won 2 out of the 3 games not feeding each other. So clearly they have the chops within them to take down Clem and Trigger in different ways. Regardless, GG. GG, well played. And with that, hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Hope you all had a great time here this morning for the uThermal 2v2 circuit. And we are going to be back in how many hours? In 7 hours. In 7 hours time, we are going to be back. We're going to be live on this channel with what? With the Masters Coliseum, with another tournament. Again, I think every day this month we have 2 casts a day, so it's going to be very intense. It's a lot of StarCraft. It's a lot of StarCraft. So today we have uThermals. Wait, actually, do I have the technology? Hold on. As we switch our scenes over, yeah, there it is. Let's go. So you can see the weekend here. We have let's have a look here. We have the uThermal 2v2 event. You can see on Sunday. There it is, 9 a.m. KST. We just finished up with uThermal's 2v2 circuit. Later on tonight at 9 p.m. KST, we have Masters Coliseum. Tomorrow, we have the OC Season Championship Bracket B. That is going to be tomorrow on Monday. Likewise, we have the Wardy TV Monday as well. On Tuesday, we have the Pigosaur Monday, which is on Tuesday, alongside Little League Cup. On Wednesday, we have a Lima League with Little League Cup as well. On Thursday, we have the Pondcast alongside Masters Coliseum, alongside OSC, the OSC Playoffs Championship. So there's 3 events on Thursday. On Friday, we have another day of the OSC Championship and Masters Coliseum, and so on and so on. Next week, Saturday, we actually have the House Galactic Battle. For those that are unaware, for those who do not know, for those that have not been watching StarCraft over the past couple of years here on the channel, the House Galactic Battle is a big offline event happening in Poland where the best players face off. Players like Spirit, Laser, Christiana, Geralt, Art, and many others. They all face off in a big LAN event. This has been happening for the past couple of years, and we are the official English stream, so we're going to be covering that on Saturday as well. That should be like a 14-hour cast, so it's gonna be a big day. It's gonna as it always is, as it always is, because it's a big event with like an early like group stage into the playoff bracket, and it's all casted in one day. It's a one-day event, so it's literally all day. It's just all day, non-stop Polish StarCraft. That's going to be next week on Saturday, followed by, more Masters Coliseum, more Wardy TV, all that good stuff. I also have the replays of another event. I have the replays of Enki. He hosted a Christmas event, a Christmas invitational on Christmas Day, and he did share those replays with us. There was no English cast. Only a Spanish cast. For those who do not know, Enki, he is a Spanish caster and Spanish organizer. He's a good friend. Good friend here to the Ducklings, and did share those replays. So we're going to be going over the Enki Invitational at some point next week as well. Right now, we don't have any room this week, but next week, we should be able to slot it in and find a nice time slot for it. For the non-stop casting that is January. Let's go. Let us go. Let's go. I miss Masters Coliseum. Yes, Masters Coliseum has been going on for the past 2 days. And tonight is going to be, I believe, it is going to be Astray versus Spirit. It's going to be Astray versus Spirit and Zan versus... What am I thinking of? Gumiho, that's it. Astray, Spirit, Zan, Gumiho. So 2 TVPs are going to be tonight, so look forward to it. Those are elimination matches. 2 best of 5s. Look forward to it. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for support. We do appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. And again, tune in next month for the next 2v2 uThermal circuit for the month of February. Oh boy. Otherwise, you can follow us. You can follow us if you enjoyed the content. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. All things CranKy Ducklings, as we are all over the place. We post whenever we go live. VODs are available on YouTube as well. Just catching up in the chat. Sarah Oliveira lost the hero plus dark. Oh, okay, I remember. It's been a long time, but I missed them. The cast is live via replays. There we go. But yeah, with that, I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I hope you all had a great time. You can follow us, you can subscribe to our YouTube. We upload VODs on a daily basis, so plenty of content on YouTube every single day. All the VODs are there. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in 7 hours, or whenever we see you next, whether it's in 7 hours or tomorrow or the day after or the day after that. We are live every single day, so plenty of content as always here on the CranKy Ducklings. See you when we see you. Until then, thanks for watching. Hasta luego. Ciao. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.